Yeah, ever get the feeling that, like, life has this kind of boomerang effect? Like, what you put out there kind of eventually swings back to you. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into the 12 laws of karma. Not just like a surface skim, but really unpacking what each one means, especially for you. And who better to help us unravel this than our resident expert on all things insightful?
Ready to explore how these laws suggest our actions, shape our future experiences.
Absolutely. Now, before we get lost in the cosmos, let's define karma. We're talking about it as this force created by our actions that influences, what comes next.
Think of it like a cosmic ripple effect. Every single action is creating a ripple that eventually comes back to us.
And that return trip is key in this whole concept of karma.
Right, because it's not just about like a neutral consequence. It's about this energy, especially negativity. It's like it gains momentum on its way back to us.
Which brings us perfectly to our first law, the greater law of cause and effect. We've all heard what goes around comes around, right? But the source we're diving into today, it highlights how that negative energy we mentioned, it doesn't just disappear, it intensifies. Imagine, instead of a gentle breeze, it's like you sowed this wind that circles back as a full-on storm.
And think about a time you held on to anger or resentment. Did it just sit there neutrally, or did it seem to eat away at you more than the other person?
Right. Holding on to negativity, it often feels worse than the initial offense, doesn't it? It's like this self-inflicted wound that keeps hurting. But okay, moving on to law number 2. This one's called the law of creation. And it really flips the script. It suggests we're not just along for the ride. We're active participants in shaping our reality.
It's empowering in a way, don't you think? It reminds us that we're co-creators in our own lives. And this document we're looking at, it makes a fascinating point about this. It suggests that our surroundings, they often mirror our internal state. So if we're constantly surrounded by chaos, it might be a sign to look inward and see what needs adjusting.
Okay, that's making me think about that saying, everywhere you go, there you are. We bring ourselves into every situation. And speaking of looking inward, that's a perfect segue to law number 3, the law of humility. Now, this one can be a bit of a tough pill to swallow, because it suggests that when we constantly view others as enemies, it says more about our own internal state than theirs.
It's a powerful reminder that how we perceive the world is often a reflection of ourselves, right? It's imagine you're walking through a forest and you only see thorns and brambles. Someone else might walk the same path and notice the wildflowers blooming between the thorns. Same path, different perspectives based on what we're focusing on.
So true. It reminds us to consider whether we're projecting our own stuff onto others. Okay, on to law number 4, the law of growth. This one feels pretty intuitive, right? We're constantly evolving and changing. But what I find interesting is that this law, it emphasizes that real transformation, it starts from within. We can't wait for external factors to change who we are.
It's about taking ownership of our own personal development, right? It's easy to get caught up in trying to change other people or situations, but this law, it reminds us that the only person we can truly control is ourselves.
It's about focusing on what we can influence, which is how we choose to grow and evolve. And speaking of taking ownership, that leads us perfectly into law number 5, the law of responsibility. Now, this one can be a little less comfortable because it suggests that instead of playing the blame game when things go wrong, we need to be accountable for our part in it. Not to beat ourselves up, but to learn and grow.
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed how blaming others, it kind of keeps us stuck in that same cycle?
It's like we're giving away our power to change things. This law is about recognizing that we're active participants in shaping our lives, the good, the bad, and everything in between. And when we own our part, that's when we can start making, different choices.
Okay, getting a little mind-bending with law number 6, the law of connection. This one suggests that even our smallest actions have a ripple effect throughout the universe. It's a bit like that butterfly effect idea, but, zoomed in on our everyday lives. What's a subtle action you've taken that's snowballed into something bigger, even unexpectedly?
Because it's not always about those huge, life-altering decisions, is it? Sometimes it's the tiny acts of kindness, the choices we make when we think no one's watching. Those can create ripples we may never even see. This law really highlights just how interconnected we all are.
It makes you realize that everything we do, every choice we make, it matters. Now, law number 7. This one feels particularly relevant today. The law of concentration. It's about focusing our energy on one thing at a time to truly make progress. It's like that old saying, if you chase 2 rabbits, you'll catch none. Do you ever feel like you're pulled in a million directions? This law is a good reminder to prioritize and focus our energy on what truly matters.
Especially in this age of constant distractions, right? It's so easy to get caught up in multitasking and spreading ourselves thin. This law reminds us that sometimes the most effective way to move forward is to slow down, take a breath, and focus on one step at a time.
This one's a good one to write on a post-it note and stick to my computer screen. Okay, on to law number 8, the law of coherence. This one is all about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. It emphasizes the importance of aligning our actions with our beliefs and values.
It's about living authentically, isn't it? It's easy to talk about our values and beliefs, but this law, it challenges us to actually embody them in our everyday lives. Think of someone you admire for their integrity. Chances are it's because their actions consistently match their words.
It's about that consistency between who we say we are and how we actually show up in the world.
Yeah.
Now, law number 9, this one's a classic for a reason. The law of here and now. It's about letting go of past regrets and anxieties about the future and really embracing the power of the present moment. Because if we're always dwelling on what was or worrying about what might be, we miss out on the beauty of what is.
It's like that quote, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. This law encourages us to savor those everyday moments, to be fully present in our lives.
And speaking of embracing change, that takes us to law number 10, the law of change. This one suggests that life, it'll keep presenting us with similar challenges until we learn the lessons we need to evolve.
It's like the universe is giving us opportunities to grow and learn, even if those opportunities, they come disguised as challenges. It's a reminder that we're not stuck in a rut, that change is always possible.
We have the power to break free from negative patterns and create a new path forward. Right. Law number 11, the law of patience and reward. This one is a good reminder that good things take time. It's about staying committed to our goals, trusting the process, and knowing that the most rewarding achievements, they often require dedication and perseverance.
It's easy to get discouraged when we don't see immediate results, isn't it? This law reminds us that everything has its own natural rhythm and timing. Think about it, a seed planted in the ground. It doesn't sprout into a plant overnight. It needs time, nourishment, and patience to reach its full potential.
It's a good reminder to trust the journey and find those small victories along the way.
Okay, ready for the grand finale. Law number 12, the law of importance and inspiration. This one's about recognizing that we all have something unique to offer the world. It's about finding our purpose and using our gifts to make a positive impact no matter how big or small.
It reminds me of that quote by Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. This law, it encourages us to step into that power, to share our gifts with the world, and to trust that our contributions matter.
And doesn't that tie in beautifully with this whole concept of karma? It's like we're being reminded that the energy we put out there, the choices we make, they have a ripple effect. It all comes back to that interconnectedness we were talking about earlier.
Exactly. And it reinforces this idea that living in alignment with these laws, it isn't about some a rigid set of rules. It's about recognizing the power we have to create positive change in our own lives and the world around us. So as we wrap up our deep dives into the 12 laws of karma, what stands out to you? We've covered a lot of ground, from cause and effect to living in the present moment to embracing our unique contributions. It seems like these laws, they offer a framework for living with more intention, awareness, and purpose.
Absolutely. And you know what I find fascinating? At the end of this document we're looking at, it asks, which law resonates with you most? But what if, instead of choosing just one, we considered these 12 laws as this interconnected web, each one influencing and informing the others? How might that change how we view our actions and their impact on the world around us?
That's a powerful thought to leave you with. So as you go about your day, maybe you'll notice these laws playing out in your own life. Those subtle reminders that every action creates a ripple, and that even the smallest acts of kindness and intention can make a world of difference.